Chapter 6. Sunday evening. Doreen walked into Nan's suite and sat down across from her on the small couch. "Nan, stop causing a disturbance at this place," she announced. Then added carefully, "And I want you to stop the gossip about Mac and me." Nan poured them each a cup of tea, then looked at her granddaughter, her eyes twinkling, and said, "Do you now? And why is that?" "Nobody likes to be gossiped about, Nan," Doreen scolded lightly. "You know that." "I never bother about gossip," she said with an airy wave of her hand. "But you have to learn to live a little, my dear. You should care about what it is you're doing in the moment, rather than worrying about how other people will see it. Besides, people always talk. It's human nature." Doreen's shoulders sagged. She figured this would be one of those life lesson talks. She firmed up her tone and said, "It's nobody else's business what I do." "As long as you keep finding bodies and solving all these cases," Nan said with a shake of her finger, "people's tongues will wag. Of course it makes sense that they'll automatically include Mac in that discussion." Nan had a point. Doreen just didn't want to think about it. "What did you do to cause the ruckus?" "It had absolutely nothing to do with Richie's and my discussion," she said complacently. "But smart of you to figure out Maisie made the call because she was upset with me." "That's a waste of official city resources," Doreen said quietly. "What if somebody needed the police across town?" "There are other cops," Nan said. "Besides, I wouldn't waste policeman hours like that. You'll have to talk with Maisie about it." "I would," Doreen said on a groan, "but I doubt she'll listen to me any more than you are." At that, Nan tilted her head to the side, considered the problem, and then nodded. "You're right there. Maisie does like drama." "That was a lot of drama in the reception area," Doreen said. "Between you and Richie for sure." "Oh dear, that's just fun. When you get to be our age, there aren't a lot of other things we're allowed to do." "Fun?" Doreen asked. She shook her head. "I admit that fun has a different meaning for different people." "Of course it does," Nan said supportively. She patted Doreen on the hand and smiled at her. "For you, solving cases is fun. But so many people wouldn't want anything to do with that. They wouldn't want to get into trouble, get into danger, cross the law, find bodies, or any of that stuff," she said. "Where you, my dear, appear to be perfectly suited for it." Doreen winced at that. "I admit it is interesting work." "Admit it? You think it's great fun?" "Does that mean something's wrong with me?" she asked, suddenly worried. Astonished, her grandmother shook her head. "Absolutely not. You're blessed, honestly." "Blessed?" Doreen wondered if Nan was going off on one of her tangents when she continued. "Yes, you found something that's fun, that is exciting, that gets you out of bed with a bounce every day. You've always loved gardening, and so the gardening has led you to another even more exciting hobby." "Sure, but it's hardly a hobby." "What would you call it?" Nan challenged. "People are coming to you now." "Just this once," Doreen protested. "Let's not take that too far." "Sure. Sure, she said, chuckling. "This week one person, maybe another one next week. Who knows? In 6 months, you could be getting dozens of people contacting you." "Well, they can't do that if they don't know where I am," Doreen said. "The only reason Penny did is because she heard about me after I found Paul, and because of the fact he went missing 29 years ago, which is the same amount of time her brother-in-law had been missing." "Of course, and she was a local, so she knew about Paul's case," Nan said, nodding. "You know what you should do." Doreen picked up the cup of tea Nan had placed in front of her. "You should set up a website." Doreen almost sprayed the tea from her mouth. "A website?" "Absolutely. Call it something like Finders Keepers." That just was so wrong that Doreen couldn't even begin to formulate an answer. Maybe not that name exactly, Nan said, tapping her chin thoughtfully. Give me a little bit of time. I'll come up with something catchy for it. I'm not trying to drum up business for this hobby, Doreen said. That would be terrible. Why would that be terrible? Nan looked at her in surprise. Seriously, you could make some good money doing this. I'm not a licensed pie. It's only fun because I get interested in the case, and I dig until I can get to the bottom of it, she admitted, probably for the first time to herself as well. But it won't be the same if people want me to do all kinds of stuff that doesn't appeal. Oh, that's a very good point, Nan said. We'll need to add some explanation that you only take on cases that appeal. Then everybody'll try to make their situation as interesting as possible, so you look into their case. Doreen didn't think she wanted this to go any further. How about we just shelve that idea for a while? It's been a crazy enough day as it is. I'm really tired. I didn't plan on coming down here now. For heaven's sakes, I only solved this Alan Hornby problem this morning. I haven't even had a chance to think straight today. That's good, Nan said, her voice firm. Full days are good days. And once you get to my age and you realize how empty some days are, you will be pining for those days again. Oh dear, that's probably quite true. She was sorry if Nan was bored much of the time. Besides, this way, Nan added, you forgot all about the antiques leaving tomorrow. At that, Doreen brightened. Right. I'd forget, and then it would hit me every once in a while throughout the day, and I realize it's tomorrow. So now you go home. Just rest, don't worry about the website, don't worry about finding another case, nothing at all, she said. If I hear of anything interesting, I'll let you know. In the meantime, you focus on getting those antiques out of your house, okay? Sounds good to me, Doreen said. Plus, she didn't want to think about Penny, and the crazy thoughts Doreen had been having about the death of Penny's husband. Doreen placed her empty teacup on the table, gave her Nan a gentle hug, kissed her cheek, and said, "And you stay out of trouble for once, please?" Nan's twinkling eyes said she had heard, but had no intention of listening. As Doreen got to the door, Nan called out, "What about the animals? Why didn't you bring them?" I raced out of the house so fast that there wasn't time. I miss them, Nan said. Bring them next time, please. I will, Doreen said, and she stepped out into the hallway, thankful the reception area was empty now. Once outside, she noted how late it was. She took several deep breaths, looked up at the moon and the sky, and shook her head. That went well, Max said from beside her. Startled, she turned to look at him. He sat on one of the big brick planters at the front of the building, his arms across his chest. Are you done here? I am. I've been waiting for you. He inclined his head. Are you done here? He asked. She nodded and sighed. I do love her, but... We all love her, he said firmly. Don't worry about the buts. They happen with all of us. Do they though? She asked. He chuckled and said, Come on. Let's get you home again. It's so late, she said with a yawn. I'm glad we got dinner in first. At least some dinner. Me too. And it was good. I really enjoyed that dish. It was new for me. I still have to clean up the kitchen. She groaned. As she got to her car, she turned to look at him. Are you heading back to the office? He shook his head. If you want, I'll come and help you clean up the kitchen. Otherwise, I'm heading home to bed. She waved him toward his vehicle. Go, she said. I'll just put the food in the fridge and leave the dishes until morning. He nodded and they parted ways.